like Dr. Prabhan Agarwal, Honorable Vice Chancellor, OUT Bhubaneswar, Dr. Ajit Kumar Sasali from Chief Scientist, CSR CMAP, Lucknow, and our Madam, the most popular ladies of Odisha, Dr. Sanghamitra Pati, the Director of ICMR, RMRC Bhubaneswar, and welcome to all. And we'll begin with our India's most, we can say, the biotechnologist, biochemist, Padma Bhushan, Professor G. His contribution to India and world is invaluable, and particularly when he was in IISc Bangalore director, he already designed a rotavirus vaccine. So we welcome to all the students. Sir, please go, welcome, and you deliver your noble idea towards how the popularization of science, the student will make their career. Please, sir, request to Professor G. Padmanabhan, sir. We'll start with Professor G. Padmanabhan.
Thank you, Mr. Lakshminarayan Boxy. I hope you can all hear me. It's indeed a great pleasure and honor for me to have been invited to talk to students from Odisha. I just want to briefly tell you that many students have not taken to science. In recent years, thinking it's not a job that will pay money. But I must tell you, it is a profession, very noble profession. You also have the satisfaction of addressing many of the problems of the society. And more recent years, it's not bad. Even science is a paying profession. I mean, faculty are reasonably paid, not only in the public sector, also in the private sector. Therefore, in the Institute of Science, which Mr. Boxy mentioned, many people, they come in cars and they have apartments. So therefore, it's not a bad profession, I must tell you, even money-wise, first of all, because that is the concern of parents. All the time they will say how much money my children will make. But anyway, I have spent a lifetime, more than 50, 60 years in science because I love to do that. And you have a great opportunity to address problems of the society. In particular, I want to talk about bioscience because I belong to that discipline. And, Mr. Boxy said about biotechnology. It is something which addresses health and disease. It addresses agriculture and food. It addresses environment. So it is something which affects everyday life, actually. It is such a technology that penetrates every aspect of the society. Therefore, and in the most recent example is this COVID, and you can clearly see Prime Minister onwards, everybody is talking about bioscience, vaccine manufacture, drug manufacture, diagnostic manufacture. So suddenly you find there is a lot of focus on bioscience. I felt all along it has been only space. If you send a satellite, you will be looked up. But now I find everybody is talking about vaccine, drugs, diagnostics, and that is only in the health area. I should also tell you agriculture and food is so important. And in Odisha, we know, it's a major bowl for rice production. And a lot of technologies, modern technologies are there. And India, used to import, what is that? People used to say foot to mouth, mouth to ship, ship to mouth. That means we import we were more poor. But now, over the years, we have been able to be self-sufficient. But I must tell you, given our population, any amount of food grain is not enough. Therefore, agriculture is equally important. Environment is equally important. So I don't want to take more time. I must tell you, it is a very exciting career for you. And I am 83 years old. I am not retired. And science is one profession you never retire. As long as you can, if your health permits, as long God lets you do your thing, what you want to do, you can continue to do science. Therefore, I welcome all the students to take to science, and especially bioscience. Thank you.
Sir, kindly, sir, your particularly by bioscience, I think student how they make career particularly. What is the scope? At least few lines. Okay. We'll go to interaction session later on. Now I welcome to Professor Dr. P.K. Agarwal, Pawan Kumar Agarwal, Honorable Vice Chancellor, OUT Bhubaneswar. Agarwal sir.
Thank you very much. To start with, I'm really thank you. Thanks the very learned
Good health.
Professor Raman sir and my colleagues Dr. Chandamitra and Dr. Sasni. Sasni, my old colleague also. I thought I'll limit my point to agricultural subject only. And coming from academia or university, so I thought what a student think of for their career, let me talk that only. When a student comes and make a career, they think for 3-4 major points. One, they should have a job opportunity. One, they should have a scope to grow, earn a good livelihood, and one of the best things they think, anybody, whether it is a science profession, any profession, you should have an occasion to challenge yourself to use your intellect and capability to grow. And when I see any other profession compared to science, further to what Professor Padmanabhan told, science is a lot of opportunity. But coming to biological science, I add one more thing. If you see the first half of second 20th century, the first 50 years about physics and chemistry. Second half of last century was more biology because of the advancement in physics and chemistry. And then the translation research was quite highlighted or emphasized. It may be agricultural science, it may be medical science, or it may be application of a lot of things because of a lot of fundamental research and applied research. So today, there's a lot of scope in agricultural subject. It may be core agriculture, horticulture, fishery, veterinary science, community, or agriculture engineering. There's a lot of scope, and you all would be very happy that today, with a GDP of almost $2,610 billion or something like 145 lakh crores in Indian rupee, agriculture contributes more than 15 or 16% of the total GDP. More than 50% populations are directly related, 41% plus are employed. So this area has a lot of scope for employment. This area also has a lot of good science to be done, and you are having opportunity to serve the society in terms of nutrition, food, livelihood, all the component. When you see the history of last, let us say, 30-40 years, 60s will be the critical point where you can compare that a starving country to food surplus country. But without emphasizing that, I'd like to add that today we have more than 298 million tons of cereals, 313 million tons of horticulture crops, more than 100 billion egg production, and egg particularly we will appreciate when 1986 we were having only 16 billion egg production. Today it is more than 100, almost more than 6 times we have egg production. That is true for milk production, almost 4 times, 95 million tons milk, almost 8 million tons of meat, and fish, almost 12.6 tons. Last year it was there. With everything goes well, we will be 20 million tons. So why I gave this data to my student friends? This branch of science has given food, nutrition, livelihood, and part of the health also, being giving food and nutrition. So you are having a satisfaction that you are pursuing biological science. You are feeding to the 1.3 billion people. You have a good livelihood. And one more thing, when Chandrayaan was sent from India, one question was discussed. I appreciate that. Let me quote. Every scientist also have a satisfaction when he's challenged to do something more than what he can do. They should have a scientific challenge. Today in agricultural science, it may be veterinary science, it may be crop science, it may be horticulture science. You have a lot of scope. Maybe breeding, you are in genomics, genome editing, transformation, biotechnology. Another 10, 20 years, precision agriculture. Use of sensor, use of nanoscience, use of artificial intelligence, then drone technology, crop advisory using all the modern technology. That will be the order of the day. So my point is, as a student, not only you are having enough jobs, enough livelihood, enough income, you are also having a lot of challenges, scientifically and otherwise, to answer to the society. So I feel this science is very vibrating, very encouraging, and I'm sure the student friends, all of us were excited today with this kind of work. So with this, thank you very much. I'll be available for further discussion and question answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chancellor OUT. Now, I would welcome Dr. Sanghamitra Pati, Director RMRC, Bhubaneswar. Pati ma'am.
Okay, so first of all, Padmanabhan sir, namaskar sir. Dr. Agarwal sir, namaskar. So my warm greetings from the new year for the new year. And so first of all, let us congratulate each one of us for having gone through 2020 and seeing the sunlight of 2021, because we have made it. And this has been possible because of science, because science has taught us how to wade through an unforeseen pandemic. Because COVID-19, everybody, what I find is that everyone, every household has become COVID-19 literate in that process, has understood or has at least appreciated the importance of science. Because people ask me, call me up and ask me, what is the Sero survey report? So that is what every person now, they are enthusiastic and they are inquisitive and they want to know about science. So we should look at every pandemic, for example, COVID-19, as an opportunity. Of course, it has put all of us in a challenging situation, but at the same time, it has also made us thinking, as Padmanabhan sir has very rightly told, that be it vaccine or be it diagnostics or be it biotechnology, or as Dr. Agarwal sir told, be it nutrition, we have to be Atmanirbhar. And that Atmanirbhar has to come from you, the future generation, to which the whole nation is looking up to. Because through you only we can, realize whatever the dreams we have now. And let me tell, because already sir has told about biotechnology and Dr. Agarwal has already told about food, nutrition, but my topic is little different because I took a tortuous career. Basically doctors don't aspire to be researchers, because medical doctors, whenever you see any film or any serial, doctors will be putting one white coat and one stetho and seeing some patient, or doing an OT and coming out of the OT and saying operation is successful. But somehow I deviated from that kind of conventional career, and I decided to be researcher because that is something which excited me. So my suggestion would to all of you would be that do something which you really are passionate about it, because unless you like it, unless you really get involved, as sir told, at 83 I'm still not retired, because he's able to do that because he loves it. He thinks it's my life. So you have to think whatever you do, be it as agriculture research, be it botanical, be it geological. I mean, that's not, every research has its own merit. But the thing is that you have to give your 100%, and for that you have to really be passionate about it. Because there is a very, I mean, I always get inspired by that quote of Alchemist, where he says that when you really want something, the whole universe conspires in achieving you the same. That means आपको सही में कुछ चाहिए होता है तो खुदा भी आपके साथ मिल जाता है, वही होता है. तो इसीलिए आपको कुछ भी करना हो, but you have to be very excited about it and want it from your heart. So when I joined as a medical doctor, I was seeing patient daily, and then I saw that I am not able to cure everyone. I am not able to solve their problems. So because I have to go to the root cause, and the root cause is something different. It is malnutrition, it is maybe they are not able to afford the vaccine, or they are not literate enough to take care of their health. So basically that kind of thought made me think that rather than curing each patient, let me do something wherein I can do at a population level or at a larger scale. So that is something kind of pushed me from the conventional or the mainstream clinical career. I left seeing patient. I no longer claim I'm a doctor. I used to be a doctor long back, but for last 20 years, I have left that. I have mostly doing research, and particularly my research focuses on public health and lab-based. Because I did my MD in laboratory medicine, and then I did my MPH also. So I always want to look at कुछ भी मैं lab में कर रही हूँ, उसका public health relevance क्या है? How ultimately it's going to benefit people. So that is how I look at research, because research ultimately has to have some translational value, some kind of impact on population. Then we can say that a research is relevant. I mean, we can do research, but everything has to see that it is being adopted, or it is being used, or it is being beneficial for many. So आपको अगर कुछ भी करना हो, मेडिकल डॉक्टर पढ़ के भी रिसर्च करो, many people may ask you, अरे रिसर्च तो करना था तो फिर क्यों मेडिकल बने? But ये एक आप, you can always tell that. Many people also ask me that question, that you could have done research doing a PhD, but why after doing MD you shifted to research? But I feel that is an advantage, because I know human health, and at the same time I can use it for the betterment of health research. So, and let me tell you, now medical research, health research, biotechnology, including agriculture, has got vast scope in India. Not like this time will come when people will realize the importance of research. This is the most fertile, most opportune and right moment if you are interested to take a career in research, because you are seeing the results in your own eyes now. So now we are, in fact, yesterday the vaccine was approved. So you can see the results of science. So I think this is enough motivation for all of you to take up science as a career, because nothing is more fulfilling than seeing your research question being answered by you. With this note, I will stop here because time is short, but I am ready to take any call or any question.
Thank you, Dr. Sanghamitra Parthi ma'am. Now, हम अभी गुजारिश करेंगे कि जो केंद्रीय सौगंध संस्थान सीमाप लखनऊ से जुड़े हुए हैं डॉक्टर अजित कुमार शासनी, मुख्य वैज्ञानिक, हम निवेदन करते हैं कि उनका जो औषध और सौगंध पौधे में हमारे बच्चे लोग कैसे काम कर रहे हैं और कैसे रिसर्च हो रहे हैं, उनके बारे में थोड़ा जानकारी देंगे. डॉक्टर अजित कुमार शासनी सर.
Namaskar. Respected Dr. Padmanabhan sir, Dr. Parthi, Dr. Agrawal, and thank you, Bakshi Babu, giving this opportunity. This is a huge platform, and talking to students, really it is very good, and we enjoy talking to students always. So I am from a background of medicinal and aromatic plants, and further background is agriculture. I am a junior to Professor Agrawal and studied in OUAT, Odisha University of Agriculture and Technology. Then I did my PhD from IIRA and postdoc from Purdue University, USA in aroma genomics. So if you see right now, we have 3.28 million square kilometer of land India has, total land. Out of that, around 60% are arable land, cultivable land. From this 60%, 80% is cultivated and 20% is it is fallow land. But if you see the total land, then we have around 40,000 square kilometer of land which are affected by salinity and acidity, sodic soil, saline soil, and acidic soil. And the saline soil includes the coastal soils. There are 20,000 square kilometer. This is the land which is marshy land, all utilized, and forest land is around 1.3 lakh square kilometer. So we have a huge potential to be Atmanirbhar Bharat. So in food grain, we have become Atmanirbhar right now. Means we have produced enough to feed our population. But if you see the Article 37 of the Indian Constitution, we have to provide food to all the citizens of India. Again, if you see the SDG goals, then many of the goals, they require that we have to have good nutrition in addition to the food. So whether we are able to give good nutrition to the people, that's the question. So next wave of research will be to give good nutrition. So we have developed research system, developed around 20,000 variety till now. So some of the variety, it has been cultivated widely because of yield, high yield, to meet the hunger. But now those variety which are left behind, having good quality in terms of micronutrient, protein, vitamins, those should be taken up in future, and those will be taken up. And we have a huge biodiversity. So many of the plants, those can be prospected to bring them into the mainstream for cultivation. So these are the future things, the future direction of agriculture which will go. Again, not only the agriculture, this will be integrated with all other plants. What we are doing now, we are now Aroma Mission. In this Aroma Mission, you have all over India different clusters. We want to make India Atmanirbhar in Aroma India. Also develop the agriculture. The research we should go to the public. But if you don't have the basic research, then the research cannot be converted. In addition to the basic research, you have to have the applied research, which we are doing for that. Now in the COVID medium, family know the different medicinal plants, they are having the potential to give us many things which can be utilized for immune booster. So those plants are now previously not cultivated by farmers, but not being what they relying just like that income. Now they are saying like okay. So if you see the total nutraceutical plant or medicinal plant, nutraceutical around 4% we can input in there. But if you consider China, they are having a large.
तुम सो रहे हो क्या हो रहा है मुझे लगा तुम कुछ कर रहे हो करो उसको सही करो
we can make it possible between two systematic research activities. So many of the plants like Padmanabhali, Pioneer, Kutumin, I want to research, keep it up, research. We have come to Sima Kali also, we have reacted, and everybody in India is able to Padmanabhali. So we have the potential to utilize in malaria and many other diseases. Like many plants of India, those can be taken from mainstream, particularly large scale, those
कुछ करो उसको कौन है
biology. In future, the research will be of all the sciences. Biology can be integrated into physics, chemistry, biochemistry, medical sciences,
Dr. Sasani sir, audio muted, audio, Dr. Sasani. Yes. Okay. Hello, Dr. Sasani sir.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello?
yes, right. Yes, okay.
So now we will be going for nutragenomics. So this will be means if you ethnic food, nutragenomics, the research will be going in that direction. So we have to find out our own food, which will be better for our population, ethnic wise, their genomics compatible with their genomics, along with the plant genomics, which are producing the metabolites. So those things, those type of research will be going on in the future, and we should be prepared for that. And about the career in biology or bioscientist, which includes general biology, medical biology, agriculture, and everything together. So there is no demarcation. Any science, any branch can go into any branch. So those things will happen in future. And in my opinion, as Madam Pati also told, so we have to have, students should have fire in the belly, or they have interest to do that particular work or research in that direction. And if there is fire in the belly in the students, they can achieve their success in future. If they may enter directly into botany or agriculture or medical or any other stream. If they go on doing their research and think some problem which will be if they are solved, then it will be beneficial for Indian population and for Atmanirbhar Bharat, and they can give something to the society if they think in that direction, whether it is basic research or the basic research already available, which can be applied in future. So this can be taken up in future. So accordingly, the students, they should orient themselves in that direction and prosper. I think I'll again thank Boxy Babu to give me this platform to speak my mind, and thank you very much. I can answer questions if they want, if the students ask me questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ajit Kumar Sasani. So let us start with a question. Student from different branches, those are joined, please raise your question one by one. Please go ahead. Question number 1. Hello. Yes, start question, please. Hello. Yes, student.
Sir, what
yes.
scope have after MSc Biotech in careers?
Okay, I think Padmanabhan sir can tell me scope of biotechnology after postgraduate in biotechnology. Padmanabhan sir.
I think the question is, what should I do after MSc Biotechnology? That's what the question is.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I would think, if you really want to go up the ladder, you have to do PhD. Because at the MSc, you may be hired in an industry and it is difficult to come up. I think nowadays everybody looks for minimally PhD qualification. I would suggest that if you are research oriented, if you want to get into industry, then it's a different cup of tea actually. So you may have to do some MTech or some technology mediated programs. But if you want to take a research career, I think you should go and do your PhD in biotechnology. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Sasani sir, do you add any more? Hello. On biotechnology, MSc biotechnology pass out student, what would be their future perspective?
Okay. In addition to what sir told, you have the field is wide open. When you do biotechnology, you can go for medical biotechnology, you can go for animal biotechnology, you can go for plant biotechnology. These are the main three streams you can opt for. So in this, if you go for agriculture biotechnology, you can go for again further specialization will be there when you go for PhD degree, MSc after MSc. Then as I told also, we have to you have to orient at that time whether you are going for the basic research or going for the higher biotechnology or applied sciences. Means if I give one example, if you have some of the genes, if you want to go for their functions, then you can determine, you can analyze their functions and find out what they are doing, whether in plants, animal, or any medical sciences. Means if some disease genes you can identify. So you can go for in medical science also, you can identify some of the genetic defects by analyzing the human genomics and analyzing them, which are the, again, go for the molecules which can be effective for them. So those are the things you can do. You can go for both industry or academia. So according to you have to plan your future. That thing, maybe I am able to speak something.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more question, student?
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
Good evening, respected sir and ma'am. I am Shubham Jyoti Naik, a BSc graduate from OUT, and I am currently pursuing MSc in Animal Sciences. So in recent years, I have often come across two types of factions or researcher pursuing research who generally follows two types of approaches. That is, one is tool-centric approach, where a particular individual or researcher have particular specific skill set and go for research based on their requirements. And second one is problem-centric approach, where a researcher have a particular problem of interest and goes on to learn and develop various skill set required for it. So as a student pursuing MSc and interested to go for higher research and studies, I'm interested to know that what mindset or requirements are expected from a student opting for research or a PhD, especially in Indian context. A lot of skills and knowledge of tools so that they can be presented with any kind of problem to solve, or a particular research problem in mind and ideas to solve it. Kindly.
Yes. Thank you for your question. Dr. Agarwal, sir.
Yeah, nice question. I'm happy that you put a fundamental question to us, whether it is a problem centric or whether it is very technology centric. Believe me, there is no confusion. Always, whenever you do a research, it has to be a problem, and to solve the problem, you have to have a knowledge of your billions of ideas, supportive knowledge about the instruments, physics, chemistry related, whatever, and then you solve it. Then when you when you do research for solving a problem, then you are in two components. One, you can do a fundamental research, or you can do applied research. When you do applied research, you should understand the problem and the clientele. When you do a fundamental research, then you are giving scope whether my research will be immediately useful or maybe long term it will be useful. So both are important. I always say in a scale of 0 to 100, yourself you put 0 at a very, very basic research, or 100 quite translational or applied research. Both are very important. That is your liking, where you like to be there. But whether you are doing a fundamental research or you are doing a totally applied research, do around a problem and equip yourself for the technology available, for the science available, and the understanding component. One more thing I'll add to you and the earlier question also. Coming from research, we are a little bit more advising to you for research, but today's world is a little bit giving a lot of scope to you, more than that. Definitely you are having a research mindset or academic mindset, must go for a PhD and all these things. Suppose you are having a mindset to go for as an entrepreneur, as a startup, or you want to have industry point of background, or you are in commercial mindset. Also, today's science gives you a lot of scope. It is automobile industry, or whether it is a plant biotech industry, or whether it is a seed industry, or whatever, or food service processing and marketing industry. Everywhere is scope. Veterinary science, you can do a genomic research, genomic selection. Also, you can do a meat processing and meat. And everywhere, believe me, all kind of science are useful. From microbials, microbe to genomics to physics to everything is useful when you go to translational research. So I'll leave it up to you. What will be your choice for taking a career? But career in science for higher research or higher education, teaching, academia or industry, all are acceptable. Whatever you do around that is the fundamental thing. That should be it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Agarwal sir. Any more question? Hello. Any more question from student?
phone se link upare click kale kon dekhauji?
Hello.
Microsoft
Hello.
download kar deji?
Yes. Tell your question.
Good evening. Good evening,
Yes.
sir. So my question too will be for PK Agrawal, sir. So I'm a bio student and currently I'm pursuing masters in zoology in CBSH. So the thing is, I'm a bio student, but I'm a little bit also interested in robotics, artificial intelligence. So as PK Agrawal sir mentioned that there is also a scope for artificial intelligence in agriculture research. So I would like, it might look silly, but I just want to ask what are the scopes of artificial intelligence in case of agriculture?
Excellent. Thank you very much for such a good question.
Thank you, sir.
Today, whether you are a student of zoology or veterinary science or agriculture, this artificial intelligence, robotics, drone technology, automation, ICT, IoT, all are interrelated, and you can do a lot of work. I'll give a few examples to you. Suppose you are doing an advisory, whether it is a fisheries or it is a animal science or it is a crop science. Suppose you are having a disease and you are having 50,000 or 1 lakh disease photograph correlated with a decision-making system. You can make an AI to say your clientele going for a photo from your mobile camera can upload to a site, and immediately you will know this is a disease, this is the problem, and this is solution. Suppose I'm having a drone, and I'm having a crop advisory, I'm having crop cutting or DE diagnostics. Whether you have a drone technology or satellite technology, where you stand, but you can see a crop or animal or fish, whatever way you want. And by being there, real time you can get advisory, what is next to be done. Even fishing, for example, somebody can, right now technology is available. A fisherman can go to fish, sea or a pond and know here the fish is there. The catching time and resources will be saved. Today, suppose you are in a tractor and you are putting fertilizer. AI-based VR technology, you can real time you can sense the fertility of the soil and apply fertilizer. That is true for feeding in fish or looking for a food available for the fishes within the water. So I'm giving one more example. One project I happen to be involved a little bit, so I'm giving an example to you. One IIT Delhi and one ICAR Institute together they developed a AI-based advisory in maize disease. A farmer can go see the disease, put it. Last month, IIT Roorkee, one team, they developed a sensor based on in apple, particularly ripening. So you can the farmer can go show his sensor to the fruit. It will have a biochemical observation. It will have a maturity observation. It will have a happening AI take a decision and will advise the farmer or the transport businessman, my apple is okay or not okay, or it is eatable or not eatable. So AI with lot of technology and per se also with few technology has enormous potential. But convergence of expertise is very, very important. So everybody cannot do everything. You have to come in a team with some electronics knowledge, AI knowledge, some biological knowledge like you from zoology, like that. So today's world will be, research will be in the team with expertise of all the people in different subject and converging and converting a knowledge and science to a commodity-based application-oriented research or technology. I can elaborate further if you feel like, but I think this answers your question, I think.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Agarwal, sir. Any more question from student?
If you allow me, I can add one or two example.
Okay. Please go ahead, Dr. Sir.
Just like I'll tell about the aroma. There are thousands, hundreds, thousands of molecules responsible for aroma. There are people, their preferences depends upon the receptors they have to take that aroma molecules, which will be the signal is sent to the brain to accept that aroma. Whether the aroma will be accepted by those group of people or not, those are determined by some of the receptors. Like Linda Buck and associates got the Nobel Prize in 2004 for aroma. So now the company, like many company, so what they are doing, they are getting the receptors analysis of across the population and getting the aroma molecules, and accordingly they are designing the artificial intelligence which plants will give that aroma molecules and which molecules will be applicable to those genotype people having specific receptors. That is one thing. Second thing is nutrition. If you see, we have a large human data genomic sequences, so we cannot analyze those genomic sequences. It should be analyzed in big data analysis and different way. So once we get the data extracted and correlate it to some of the diseases and again nutritions, which plants is having what nutritions, which molecules they have, if they enter into the body, what is their interaction, all these things are being analyzed through artificial intelligence. And in future, definitely a particular person go to a doctor, the genotype will be determined, and the food and nutrition can be advised in a better way. So those are the things which are going on right now in biological science and artificial intelligence, along with what Dr. Agarwal told. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Patti, can you add anything?
Hello. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
No, basically, I just wanted to, echo what already Agarwal sir and Dr. Saini has told. Basically, it's not research is something has to be multidisciplinary. There is no doubt about it. But someone has to lead it with his or her idea. Then others can complement. For example, let me tell you, laser, now very commonly used for cosmetology, for dental, for everywhere. It was initially not intended to be used for medicine. Similarly, many uses we are seeing MRI. It was initially the principle is of physics, but the maximum use happens in medicine. So basically, what we may be doing, what we may be researching, it may have multiple levels of use and adoption in different disciplines. So that is one thing I have learned, that you may be thinking that it is my lab research, but other discipline might look at it from a different perspective. The way artificial intelligence starting from cancer diagnosis to predicting the, for example, the flight accuracy, everything is possible, but the principle is same. So what my suggestion is that principle may remain same, but its application will differ from discipline to discipline. And to identify who is going to be using that, we need a multidisciplinary team. So basically, that is the reason we always believe that we should not keep our findings to ourselves. Rather, we should widely disseminate it, widely share it, so that who knows, the other side of the story or other side of the table, they might find it a better use.
Thank you, ma'am. Any more question from student? हेलो सवाल किसी का है? बच्चे लोग का किसी का सवाल है तो नहीं, तो अदरवाइज विल वाइंड अप द सेशन बिकॉज ऑलरेडी वी आर 10 running 10 minutes late. So I think there is no question. Any more question? किसी का सवाल है तो बात कीजिए कि हिसाब से आंसर देने के लिए तैयार रहें बच्चों लोग. कुछ सवाल है तो पूछ लीजिए बिकॉज देर इज यू आर गेटिंग द एम्पल स्कोप. ये एक प्लेटफॉर्म है जिसके लिए कि आपसे सीधा बात करने के लिए ये जो प्रोग्राम डिजाइन किया गया है सिर्फ आप लोग के लिए ही किया गया है. इसमें आपको कॉन्फिडेंस लेना है. आपको अगर कुछ क्वेश्चन भी रॉन्ग हो उसमें कोई भी सवाल नहीं है. तो अगर एनी मोर क्वेश्चन तो अदरवाइज विल वाइंड अप. 1 minute to you.
Good evening, everyone. Respected ma'am and sir.
Yes, go ahead.
My question is to P.K. Agrawal, sir. Sir, I am actually pursuing my master's in life science, and I am from BSc Zoology honors from basic science. Sir, I wanted to start an organic farming, although I am not at all. I am not having any knowledge about it. So I was only going through all those videos and all those trainings. I want to know that how can I get a training from where I can get a training to start my own organic farming.
Yes, sir.
Good. I'm happy that you have a lot of good question. At least this talks of a thinking brain. I'm happy to listen some questions. You see, the word organic farming has come in 1950s. Before that, whatever in Indian agriculture was there. And when I mean agriculture, I mean all the allied subjects, veterinary science or agriculture engineering or community science, everything. Because that's the way agriculture is defined. So it was organic by default. When we started using pesticide, insecticide, fertilizer, and model of agriculture was changed, we use non-inorganic fertilizer and other models. So, and the requirement of that was because of population increase, we had to have a production increase, and production model was more intensive input-based model. But having told that, today's lot of population, they have a paying capacity, they can buy good food, and they prefer not to have any pesticide or other chemical in the food. So it can be a crop-based food or animal-based food or whatever. If you can make a proper production and marketing, value chain, that includes processing, marketing, everything, then it will fetch a premium price. So that is why there is having a lot of potential today to have an organic based food and food processed product in the market with a premium price. So you are coming from zoology, you may like to have a crop based, or you can have animal based. That is your that you may prefer. Maybe fish, maybe meat or egg or whatever. And what whole chain you have to make organic. Second question was related to how you want to go for an industrial training and how you can go ahead. Am I correct? That was your second part of the question. As you know, last 1 year, we have made at least more than 100 probably or 50 at least exposure program to OUT student for different entrepreneurship. And you might be also got some exposure. Last time we sent to some industry a lot of our students. If you not got a chance, we'll send you also somewhere. I don't know, coming from Basins, probably you may not have got an occasion. That is one. Second, we are also developing one incubation center, 5 incubation center in OUT, and we are going to have a entrepreneurship program. We will make a hand-holding to all our students who want to be entrepreneur. So if you're interested, you be in touch with your dean or you can talk to me. We have identified Dr. Sanat Mishra. You know probably from Veterinary Science, who will be organizing all the activity related to incubation center and agri entrepreneurship. Also, we have identified PI NAHEP, that Dr. Das, who will looking for training of the entrepreneurship related training in India. Even we send some foreign also, some student for exposure. So if you're interested, you be in touch with them and you can talk to me also if there is a problem. We want our student, whatever they want. You want to go to academia, you go to academia. You want to go for research, you go to research. If you want to be a businessman, you be a businessman. And we have an occasion, and we'll have a lot of occasion in future for our students to go for incubation, entrepreneurship, or exposure within India or nearby, wherever you want, will be taking care. Already we made a unit, and even 3 days back, I got an award call from NABARD. They are going to support OUT in a big way for our incubation center. So, choice is yours. We are here to support you people the way you want. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any more question? Hello, student. Any doubt? Ask the question, because panelist is ready to answer your question.
So I have a little doubt regarding artificial intelligence. Shall I continue?
Yes. Go ahead.
Sir, as evident, digitization and artificial intelligence will surely revolutionize the medical sector, or let's say healthcare sector, because of its many practical applications in diagnosis, or let's say medical data management, and even personalized medicine. So there's an doubt of mine that, like in other sectors, that there is growing anxieties regarding this artificial intelligence, that it may replace majority of the jobs. So is it so in healthcare sector also, or it is a sign that we need to change our outlook for the type of job that we search for?
Pati ma'am. Dr. Pati ma'am.
Can you just again, the last line, it got broken, your voice. Can you repeat the last line, please?
Shubham,
my doubt is that due to artificial intelligence, there is anxiety of that many of the majority of jobs may get replaced. So do we need to change our outlook regarding the type of job or profession that we search for? That rather than those old jobs involving repetitive works, do we need to focus on more thought-provoking or research-like profession?
But yes, you are. I mean, first of all, artificial intelligence is not going to take away anyone's job. Rather, artificial intelligence offers a platform to put your ideas into action. So basically, because to interpret AI also, we need a person, because it's though computer may be doing it, but input, because artificial intelligence, basically you create that artificial intelligence by putting more data into the input, and basically creating the model. So to create that model, to create the data structure or whatever the frame, we need people, and we need basically people who have got ideas or innovators. So I don't see that our AI is going to be a competitor. Rather, it is going to be a kind of a catalyst for your ideas to into action.
Thank you, ma'am. Shubham, we are also planning to conduct a artificial intelligence session on 16th, the third Saturday of January. So please join us, different panelists across the world, from Australia, from Germany, and from ex-Vice Chancellor for Central University Rajasthan, Professor Pujari will join with us. So please go ahead on that session also. You will also clarify any related to artificial intelligence. Thank you, ma'am. Any more question, or we'll wind up the session? Any last question? Last question of this day. Any more question? Okay, go ahead. Any student? किसी का सवाल है तो पूछ लीजिए. Otherwise, we'll concluding the session.
Good evening, everyone. मैं कुमारी रियापति, ex student OUAT और अभी मैं अपना करियर कर रही हूँ MSc लाइफ साइंस सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ पंजाब से। सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि जैसे आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के ऊपर इतने सारे डिस्कशन हुए, एज ए एनिमल साइंस स्टूडेंट इसके बाद क्या क्या चीज हम कर सकते हैं आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस को सीखने के लिए और इस फील्ड में जाने के लिए, यानी क्या कुछ कोर्सेस या क्या कुछ हम इसके आगे करें?
Dr. Agarwal sir.
Good question. I appreciate. Let me give one small background to start your. Let me answer your question. What is actually artificial intelligence for the point of application? Suppose you are having an activity 100 times, 1000 times, or 200 times, or 1 lakh times. Suppose I am seeing a disease symptom 1 lakh times with minor variations, and when I go for a 1 lakh 1 point, based on the learning from 1 lakh sample, I can predict that this should be like this. That is one of the fundamental application of AI in diagnostics particularly. So I'm giving one example of animal science because you are talking about life science. So I'm going for a weighing of an animal weight. When 4-legged animal you put in balance, it won't stay stable. But you put their legs will be moving. So when you put an AI-based weighing, the weighing can be more perfect than making animal standing in a weighing balance. So nothing is replaced. Manpower, your job, nothing goes. Only decision-making process is better. And this example why I'm giving, IIT Delhi developed a machine like that, AI-based, and NDRI being a commodity organization, they were partnering with IIT Delhi, and they developed a system like this. So you can have n number of such applications where one will be a commodity expert. Suppose you are in medical science, a medical expert will be required, or maybe plant science, plant expert will be there. Then one can be electronics expert, one can be AI and data management expert, and everybody will contribute to have this. So AI is not going to replace any job. AI is also not going to replace the expert of a commodity expertise or subject expertise. Only you are going to do the better decision-making process so that you can predict or you can make a decision-making for a particular issue. I gave only 2 examples, one weighing balance and one disease symptom. Similarly, you can do hundreds of things. Because of paucity of time, I may not give you more example. If you want, I can talk that also. But I gave 2 bright examples, which is people have used it. I hope your question is answered, I believe.
Thank you, Dr. Agarwal sir. Sir, anything add, Padmanabhan sir? Anything add of the concluding remark of the session, sir, from Padmanabhan sir?
No, there is so much discussion across the board. So many areas have been covered, but so much interest seems to be in artificial intelligence. I only want to say artificial intelligence cannot be a standalone science. I tell you, because students might have heard about it, Biotechnology Research Industry Council, BIRAC. I hear large number of projects from industry, academia, because I chair the technical committees. I'll give you a couple of examples. For example, in agriculture, they say we will use drones and use spectral imaging of the crops to identify the disease. Then we ask, who is the agricultural expert? Every disease of will give to fluorosis. The yellowing of the leaves will take place in many cases. How do you know it is because of this particular disease? Will artificial intelligence solve this? That means it has to be a group effort. You have to have an IT person who can apply artificial intelligence. You need a person who is expertise in agriculture, pathology, Similarly, in the medical science, they come with, we will identify cancers using artificial intelligence. Then we ask this question, which cancer you are talking about? Do you know about pancreatic cancer? Do you know about breast cancer? Or the symptoms maybe? What are all the molecular changes? What are all the other changes that are taking place at the cellular level, at the organ level? So ultimately, it turns out artificial intelligence cannot be a standalone science. You have to have a group effort. There are different people coming with different expertise, and you provide the artificial intelligence. That means data points are important. How many points you have collected? Have you collected 10,000 samples of breast cancer before you can say, I can use artificial intelligence to diagnose breast cancer? Some people say even 10,000 is not adequate. Because you are going to automate the whole thing. You are going to tell in a second what is it. What I tell you from malaria parasite, I work, Dr. Pati knows. To identify a parasite, infected parasite, it will take 20 minutes. But using artificial intelligence, if you have got adequate data points, in a second you know what is the parasite that is inside. But then you have to have thousands of points collected before you can use artificial intelligence to do the microscope. So I want to conclude, so many areas have been covered, but seems to be students are more interested in artificial intelligence. Fine, it's a great science, but it's not going to replace anybody's job. And you need a group. I must tell you, BIRAC experience, I have listened to hundreds of projects. All that is needed is a group effort, a startup culture. It's not one individual. An IIT graduate comes and then collects 3, 4, 5 people, a clinician, a biomedical scientist, a physicist maybe, somebody who is expertise in instrumentation. That is where I think future lies, in my opinion. Science will move as a group effort, and that is what COVID has taught us. What the vaccine which used to take 10 years, 12 years, they are now able to do in 1 year now. How is it possible? So many groups have come together. So the future of science is going to be very different, in my opinion. It may not be individual effort anymore, more and more of group effort. That is what is needed. I will stop there. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.
Sir, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Padmanabhan, sir, being with us from Bangalore, and Dr. P.K. Agrawal from OUT, Bhubaneswar, Director, RMRC Bhubaneswar, Dr. Pati, and Ajit Sassani with us. Thank you very much, and wish you again Happy New Year. With a new year, we started a new science for at least for Odisha. Hope in future we will also conduct more and more program for student of Odisha, and let student must ever at least the science, and this is a great opportunity. COVID has given the great opportunity to interact with the scientists. This is I think there is a first time in India we are interacting with each other, at least a student and a scientist. Thank you to all. I am most thankful to Professor Padmanabhan, Dr. Agrawal sir, Ajit Sassani sir, Pati sir, Pati ma'am, and all the students across the India, those who are joined from Punjab, Gujarat, Odisha, West Bengal, and Tamil Nadu, and Uttar Pradesh. Thank you to all, and we'll meet again in the next session, 19 episode of Movie Samarth in next Saturday. Until then, goodbye.
I'll be on 6th. On 6th, I'll be in Bhubaneswar.
Okay.
Thank you, Boxy Babu. And
thank you.
First of all, thank you for beginning the new year in such a great way, especially to listen to Padmanabhan sir itself is a new year gift. So you have proven to be Santa Claus for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you from our side. Thank you so much to.
It's an honor to be with Dr. Padmanabhan.
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. And Boxy Babu together, and we should give a clap to Boxy Babu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste, sir.